16 police officers, 4 judges, 7 city council members, 2 prosecutors, 1 sheriff, 30 sworn officials protecting a drug empire. They thought badges made them untouchable. They were wrong. FBI Public Corruption Task Force had been watching for 3 years, building cases, documenting bribes, recording conversations. The operation was called Broken Shield, and when federal power strikes corrupt officials, there is no immunity, there is no protection, there is only justice. Welcome to the largest corruption investigation in state history. When those who swear to uphold the law become criminals themselves, federal power shows no mercy. The investigation started with a traffic stop. State police pulled over a truck on Interstate 40, routine inspection. The driver was nervous. K-9 unit alerted on the cargo. Officers searched, found nothing. The truck was clean. But the driver's behavior bothered Trooper Sarah Mitchell. Something was wrong. She pulled the dispatch recordings. The truck's license plate had been run through the system 30 minutes before her stop, by a city police officer, 60 miles away. The officer had called the driver immediately after running the plate. Someone had warned the traffickers about the stop. Someone with access to law enforcement databases. Someone on the inside. Mitchell reported it to her supervisor, reported it to Internal Affairs, who reported it to FBI. Because when corruption reaches law enforcement, local agencies can't investigate themselves. Federal power must intervene. FBI opened a preliminary investigation. One corrupt cop or systemic problem? The answer came quickly. Systemic. The drug organization had corrupted officials at every level. City police, county sheriff, state prosecutors, even judges. The entire law enforcement structure was compromised. Special Agent David Park took lead on the case. 20 years investigating corruption, politicians, police, judges. He'd seen every variation. But this case was different. The scale was massive. The penetration was complete. The organization had purchased an entire city's law enforcement. The drug operation ran through Baldwin City. Population 40,000. Interstate access. Perfect logistics for moving product. The cartel moved cocaine and methamphetamine from Mexico to the East Coast. Baldwin was a critical transit point. 10 tons monthly. Revenue exceeding $300 million annually. But moving that volume required protection. Police who ignored shipments, prosecutors who dismissed cases, judges who suppressed evidence. The cartel couldn't operate without official corruption, so they bought it. Systematically, expensively, completely. 30 corrupt officials, 1 city, federal investigation. Comment if you think badges should mean higher punishment. The FBI investigation was delicate. Corrupt officials have law enforcement training. They know surveillance techniques. They understand investigations. Going after them required absolute secrecy. One leak would destroy everything. The task force worked from a secure facility 300 miles away. No local officers involved, no state police, nothing that could leak back to Baldwin City. The team was FBI only, agents who'd never worked the area, who had no connections to local law enforcement. Electronic surveillance started first. Wiretaps required federal judges. Far from Baldwin, judges who couldn't be compromised. The legal process was careful. Every warrant documented. Every intercept justified. The case had to be perfect. The first wiretap went on Detective James Morrison, Baldwin City Police, Narcotics Division. Intelligence suggested he was the cartel's main inside contact. The intercepts proved it. Morrison called traffickers directly, warned about investigations, provided law enforcement intelligence. He was working for the cartel while wearing a badge. But Morrison wasn't alone. The wiretaps revealed more names: patrol officers who ignored traffic stops, detectives who buried evidence, supervisors who killed investigations. The corruption ran through the entire department. One conversation was particularly damning. Morrison talking to the cartel's local coordinator. "The DEA task force is planning raids next week. They have 4 targets. I'll text you the addresses. Move the product before Tuesday." Federal agents working for criminals. Badge betrayal at its worst. The wiretap was recorded, documented, preserved. Morrison had just guaranteed himself decades in federal prison. The investigation expanded to the sheriff's office, county deputies who provided security for drug shipments. The sheriff himself took monthly payments, $50,000, direct deposits to an offshore account. He protected the cartel with official authority. Then came the prosecutors, 2 assistant district attorneys who dismissed drug cases, suppressed evidence, lost files. The DA's office was compromised. Cases that should have resulted in convictions mysteriously fell apart. Witnesses disappeared. Evidence became inadmissible. The prosecutors were sabotaging their own cases. Hit like if you believe corrupt officials deserve maximum sentences. The judicial corruption was most shocking. 4 judges on the cartel payroll. They suppressed evidence during hearings, dismissed cases on technicalities, released defendants on minimal bail. The entire criminal justice system in Baldwin City was for sale. One judge, Harold Thompson, took bribes totaling $2 million over 5 years. He'd presided over 73 drug cases. 68 were dismissed or resulted in minimal sentences. His courtroom was a revolving door for cartel members. FBI financial analysts traced the money: offshore accounts, shell companies, real estate purchases. The corrupt officials weren't subtle about their wealth. Morrison bought a boat. The sheriff purchased a vacation home. Judge Thompson drove a Mercedes. Their government salaries couldn't support these lifestyles, but cartel money could. By year 2 of the investigation, the evidence was overwhelming. Recorded conversations, financial transactions, surveillance footage. The corruption was documented completely. But the task force waited. They wanted everyone, not just the obvious players. Every corrupt official, every dirty cop, every compromised prosecutor and judge. The cartel's local leader was Victor Reyes. He coordinated the drug shipments and managed the payoffs. FBI surveillance tracked him constantly. His meetings with police, his payments to officials, his communications with the cartel in Mexico. Reyes was the linchpin connecting the criminal organization to corrupt law enforcement. The undercover phase began in year 3. FBI agents posed as corrupt officials from another city, reaching out to Reyes, offering to help expand operations. Reyes was suspicious initially, but greed overcame caution. He met with the undercover agents, discussed expanding the network, offered bribes, all recorded. The undercover meetings provided the final pieces. Reyes named every corrupt official, explained how the system worked, detailed the payment structure. He bragged about owning the police department, about controlling judges, about being untouchable. "I own this city," Reyes said during one recorded meeting. "Police work for me, courts protect me, nobody can touch me here." He was wrong. Federal power doesn't care about local protection. FBI doesn't answer to city police or county sheriffs. When the hammer falls, corrupt badges provide no shield. Too lenient or too harsh on corrupt law enforcement. Comment L or H. Planning for the takedown began in November. Simultaneous arrests were critical. If one official was arrested, Others would flee or destroy evidence. Everyone had to be taken at once. Complete surprise, total coordination. The logistics were complex. 30 targets across one county, some at their homes, some at their workplaces. Some required mobile teams in case they were traveling. Every arrest team had to execute within a 15-minute window. FBI sent 90 agents to the region, staged at hotels 50 miles from Baldwin City. Local motels would have leaked information. The agents maintained complete operational security. No phone calls, no internet use. Communications only through secure FBI systems. The arrest date was set, January 15th, 5:30 a.m., before work shifts, before officials could reach their offices, before they could coordinate or flee. The element of surprise was essential. The night before, teams received final briefings, photos of targets, home addresses, vehicle descriptions, known weapons, family members, everything documented, nothing left to chance. At 4 a.m., the teams rolled out, 30 vehicles moving through pre-dawn darkness toward Baldwin City. Radio silence maintained. Federal agents approaching a target city where police were criminals. The irony was clear. By 5:15, teams were in position. Every target's residence under surveillance. No movement detected. The corrupt officials were home, sleeping, unaware that federal justice was about to arrive. 5:29, final check. All teams confirmed ready. 90 federal agents prepared to arrest 30 corrupt officials simultaneously. 5:30 a.m., execute. Which should face harsher sentences? A, corrupt cops. B, drug dealers. C, both equally. Detective Morrison's door exploded inward. FBI, search warrant. He bolted upright in bed, confused, disoriented. 6 agents surrounded him. James Morrison, you're under arrest for conspiracy, bribery, and obstruction of justice. Across town, Sheriff Daniel Hayes heard pounding on his door. FBI, open up! He considered running, considered fighting. The arrest team anticipated this. Agents covered every exit. Hayes opened the door, saw the weapons, the badges, the determination. He surrendered. Judge Thompson was arrested in his driveway, heading to his for morning court. Harold Thompson, Federal Bureau of Investigation, you're under arrest. His face went pale. A judge arrested by federal agents, the ultimate role reversal. The 2 corrupt prosecutors were taken at their homes. Both tried claiming immunity. I'm an officer of the court. Neither understood. Federal authority supersedes local position. Badge betrayal eliminates immunity. City council members were arrested at their residences. Some resisted, some cooperated. All ended up in handcuffs. Their political positions meant nothing. Federal charges don't respect local authority. By 6 a.m., all 30 targets were in custody. Not one escaped. Not one resisted successfully. The synchronized operation was perfect. Baldwin City's entire corrupt infrastructure was dismantled in 30 minutes. The searches followed. Morrison's house revealed ledgers documenting bribes. The sheriff's safe contained $150,000 in cash. Judge Thompson's home office had detailed records of payoffs and case outcomes. The corrupt officials had kept evidence of their own crimes. Federal prosecutors reviewing the evidence were amazed. They documented everything. This is the easiest corruption case I've ever seen. They basically prosecuted themselves. News of the arrests spread through Baldwin City by 7 a.m. 30 officials arrested simultaneously by FBI. The community was shocked. Some citizens celebrated. Others didn't believe it. Many had suspected corruption, but never imagined the scale. FBI held a press conference at 9 a.m. Special Agent Park presented the overview. Today, the FBI arrested 30 public officials in Baldwin City for corruption related to drug trafficking. These individuals betrayed their oaths. They protected criminals instead of citizens. They sold their badges to a drug cartel. Federal justice does not tolerate this betrayal. The details released to media were devastating. Dollar amounts of bribes, numbers of compromised cases, recordings of officials coordinating with traffickers. The public corruption was worse than anyone imagined. The cartel's local network collapsed immediately. Victor Reyes was arrested during the same operation. With his police protection gone, he had no defense. Federal agents had been waiting for the opportunity. He was taken into custody without incident. If you believe badge betrayal deserves life sentences, type SWAT power. The prosecutions moved quickly. The evidence was overwhelming. Recorded conversations, financial records, witness testimony from cartel members who cooperated. The corrupt officials had no defense. Detective Morrison pleaded guilty. Faced with life imprisonment, he chose cooperation. Named other corrupt officials not yet identified. His testimony helped prosecute the judges and prosecutors. Sheriff Hayes went to trial, claimed he was entrapped, that FBI had manipulated him. The jury didn't buy it. 5 years of documented bribes, millions in payments, dozens of cases compromised. He was convicted on all counts. Judge Thompson's trial was particularly dramatic. A judge prosecuted in the same courthouse where he'd presided. Former colleagues testified against him. The betrayal was personal. He'd corrupted the entire judicial system. His conviction brought cheers from the gallery. The two prosecutors pleaded guilty, faced disbarment and federal prison. Both received 15-year sentences. Their legal careers were destroyed, their reputations ruined. Badge betrayal has permanent consequences. The city council members received varying sentences. Some cooperated and received reduced time. Others fought and received maximum sentences. All were removed from office. Baldwin City's government was gutted. The sentencing was harsh across the board. Morrison received 23 years. Sheriff Hayes got 32 years. Judge Thompson received 40 years. The message was clear. Corrupt officials face enhanced penalties. Badges don't reduce sentences, they increase them. Total prison time for all 30 defendants exceeded 600 years. The average sentence was 20 years. These weren't wrist slaps. These were life-destroying punishments. Federal judges showed no mercy for badge betrayal. The impact on Baldwin City was profound. Entire police shifts were arrested. Court dockets had to be reassigned. The sheriff's office was placed under federal oversight. State police took over law enforcement temporarily. The city's entire criminal justice system had to be rebuilt. But the positive impacts were immediate. Drug trafficking through Baldwin dropped 80% within months. Without police protection, the cartel couldn't operate. New arrests were made. Legitimate prosecutions proceeded. The city began healing. Should federal oversight be permanent for cities with systemic corruption? Comment yes or no. Operation Broken Shield became the model for corruption investigations nationwide. How to maintain secrecy during extended investigations. How to coordinate simultaneous arrests. How to prosecute corrupt officials effectively. FBI training now includes the case study. Other cities with suspected corruption took notice. Federal power sees everything. Electronic surveillance catches conversations. Financial analysis traces bribes. Patient investigation builds insurmountable cases. If you're corrupt, Federal agents are watching, and when they move, there is no escape. The corrupt officials in federal prison tell new inmates their stories, how they thought they were untouchable, how they believed their badges protected them, how FBI arrived simultaneously at 30 locations and dismantled their entire network in minutes. They tell these stories as warnings. Badge betrayal doesn't provide immunity. It increases punishment. Corrupt officials face longer sentences than the criminals they protected. Federal judges view their betrayal as worse than drug trafficking. Detective Morrison sits in federal prison in Pennsylvania. 23 years remaining on his sentence. He's 52 years old. He'll be 75 when released. His law enforcement career that started with noble intentions ended in complete disgrace. Sheriff Hayes is in Kentucky. 32 years. He's 60 years old. He'll die in prison. His office, his authority, his reputation, all gone. Traded for cartel money that he'll never enjoy. Judge Thompson is in Colorado. 40 years. He's 67. He'll never leave prison. His judicial career ended in the ultimate irony. Prosecuted in his own courthouse. Sentenced by a colleague. Badge betrayal taken to its ultimate conclusion. The city council members are scattered across federal prisons nationwide. Some will get out. Others will die behind bars. All lost everything. Careers, reputations, freedom, families. The cost of corruption is total. Victor Reyes received life without parole. His local network destroyed, he had nothing to offer prosecutors. No cooperation could reduce his sentence. He armed the cartel with law enforcement intelligence. He corrupted an entire city. Federal judges ensured he'd never leave prison. Operation Broken Shield dismantled the most extensive law enforcement corruption network in state history. 30 arrests, 30 convictions, 600 combined years of prison time. One city's criminal justice system completely rebuilt. This is what happens when federal power targets badge betrayal. This is what FBI achieves through patient investigation and perfect execution. This is the consequence for officials who sell their oaths. You can take bribes for years. You can corrupt investigations. You can protect criminals. You can think your badge makes you untouchable. But federal power is patient. FBI builds perfect cases. And when the arrests come, there is no escape, no immunity, no protection. Morrison and Hayes and Thompson learned this the hard way. Their badges didn't shield them from justice. Their positions didn't provide immunity. Their corruption was documented, prosecuted, and punished with maximum severity. Because federal power holds one truth absolute: those who betray their oaths face the harshest consequences. Drug dealers go to prison. Corrupt officials who protected them go to prison longer. Badge betrayal is the ultimate crime against justice. This is SWAT power, where corrupt badges are stripped away, where officials who betray their oaths face federal consequences, where patient investigation builds cases that destroy criminal networks and corrupt officials simultaneously. The answer to the quiz? C. Both equally under federal law, but judges often add enhancements for corrupt officials because they violated public trust. Badge betrayal increases sentencing guidelines significantly. Should systemic corruption always result in federal intervention? Do you support life sentences for corrupt law enforcement? Which arrest in this operation impressed you most? Comment below. Like if you stand with honest law enforcement. Subscribe to SWAT Power, where federal agents investigate badge betrayal and deliver justice without mercy. Because when officials become criminals, federal power reminds them, no badge protects you from accountability. SWAT Power, federal accountability, badge betrayal punished every single time.